Part 6 continues with Lee telling, "My friend's name is Jane, he will train you." The next day, Ben goes to meet Lee's friend. He was meditating while sitting under a tree. Ben waits for a long time, but he didn't open his eyes. So Ben gets bored, and he asks him, "When will you teach me to increase my cultivation level?" Jane gets disrupted and opens his eyes, and instructs him, "Water my garden first. After that, I will teach you." Then Ben goes to that garden and begins watering the garden, using his power. But all the medicinal plants in that garden are spoiled because of that. Due to this, Jane gets angry and shouts at him. After this, Ben is shown with Roy. Roy's face was wounded. Ben asks him, "How did you get that wound?" He tells him that, "While I was practicing, I fell down. Then, I got this wound." After this, Ben says to King Kong, "Give me those herbs." At first, King Kong does not agree, but later he gives him those herbs. Roy uses those herbs and his wounds are properly recovered now. Then Ben forbids King Kong to steal anything from Jane's garden again. The next day, when Ben goes to the garden and sees King Kong is chained. Then Jane tells him, he was chained for stealing the herbs from this garden. And it's his punishment? Ben says to Jane to let him go. He will not act like this in future. After that, Jane lets him go. And he says to Ben, keep it secret about him. Because if anyone knows that he is a legendary beast, it will be risky for both of you. Then Ben goes near King Kong. He tells him that some kids are bullying Roy, who was going to take the exam, through gestures. Hearing this, Ben becomes very furious and begins to leave to help him. But Jane stops him and says, "Don't go anywhere because I will teach you a special technique." But Ben insists on going and begins to move. But Jane chains him using his technique. Later Roy is shown, who was going to take his exams. Few kids surround him, preventing him from taking exam because if he does not take it, then he will be expelled from the school. So they are wasting his time here so that he don't take the exam and expel from the institution. But Roy had to take this exam at any cost. He tries to go, then those kids start beating Roy. Then Ben is shown again, getting electric shocks. Jane was giving those electric shocks to him and it was a part of his training so he could become stronger. When this is over, then Ben asks Jane, "May I go to save Roy now?" Then Jane forbids him, saying, "You cannot go." Then Jane says to him that the basic of your training starts now. He gives him a lighting spoon and says, "You have to gather lighting in this spoon. After collecting that lighting, you will have to pour it into a thunder plant. You will have to do it very carefully because you can also get electric shocks in this process." Ben begins to do the task, in which he was also getting electric shocks. Then he realizes that this trial will consume a lot of time. In this way, I will be unable to guard Royda. Then he says to Jane, "I don't want to learn everything. I am leaving. I don't want to do this." Then Jane says to him that, "You will have to carry this out." Ben refuses. Then Jane says to him, "Many stones are being placed in the surroundings where you are standing. They will prevent you from leaving. If you are willing to go out of this place, you will have to complete this. You cannot cross this place without completing this work." Now Ben starts to pour that lighting on that plant after struggling to gather it. But he was also worried about Roy. Then a thunderstorm begins to fall on Ben. But Jane rescues him and says to him, "You are so stupid. You haven't learned yet?" Hearing this, Ben becomes aggressive and starts collecting all the lighting and pouring it on that thunder plant. He tries to pour all the lighting on that plant, using his lion beast technique. But he collects the lighting in excess, which falls on Ben and that plant. Due to that, the area gets completely destroyed. Seeing this, Jane gets rage and says to Ben, "Nothing can happen now. You have destroyed the plant." Meanwhile, a golden ray appears from the sky. Jane tells Ben, it is a special thunder which can destroy anything in one strike. Ben says, "Let's leave from there," but Jane refuses to let him move and says to him that, "We will move inside this." After this, Jane flies into the air, taking Ben along with him. And he fixes a spell tag on him and tells Ben that it will attract the lighting, and you will collect the thunder? But Ben tells, I will use my lion beast technique and attract all the lighting, and send it to you and you collect the thunder? And they both do as he said. Ben attracts all lighting, using his lion beast technique. And Jane gathers the thunder, taking it out from here. He gives the collected thunder potion to Ben and says, drink it. After drinking it, Ben begins to meditate and learns the lighting skill. Meanwhile, Lee comes there and tells him, the tree god is going to die soon. He also tells him, we will have to use the fountain of immortality to save the tree god. When Ben asks its location then, he reveals it. We can find it in Baidu Mountain. Ben tells him, I will surely help the tree god, because he had helped me in my difficult time. Then Lee tells him that Jane has arranged a partner for you, with whom you will go to Baidu Mountain. After that, Ben goes to the students who were teasing Roy, and starts fighting with them. Then Liam's Jr. comes here. His name was Finn. He stops them and sends them away. Later he says to Ben, you should not fight with him. He can get hurt. Then Ben tells him that those were teasing Roy for a long time, and it was necessary to teach them a lesson. And at the same time, Roy comes here and tells him, when those boys were blocking my way so that I wouldn't take my exams, Finn arrived here and helped me. He saved me from those boys, and I have taken my exam. I have also cleared it successfully. After that, Liam, Finn, and Ben are shown moving to Baidu Mountain. We see Ben, Liam, and Finn are heading towards the Beijuan Mountains. The Beijuan Mountain portal opens at a specific time, and it was not open yet. So, they stayed in the city of Duankong during that time. Later on, we see Vilgax's clan people who were ordered to kill Ben because they were afraid that Ben's supreme bone will regrow again. One of them sends a bird to track Ben's location. Later, we see Finn, Ben, and Liam wandering around the Duankong market. Later, Ben sees several beasts and comments on how delicious they would be to eat, because he was hungry. They notice a golden beast on which a girl was riding. While seeing this, Liam informs Ben that a pureblood beast from the Taigu Mountains could only make a golden beast their servant. When Ben sees this, it reminded him of his parents, who visited Taigu Mountain. Later, to keep himself busy, he takes Finn to the market for a visit. There, Finn gives him a biscuit which he dislikes at first. But after starting to eat it, he realized how tasty it was. Meanwhile, a bird steals Ben's biscuit. This was the same bird that the girl sent to track him. Ben was hungry and had hardly got anything to eat, and that was also stolen by that bird. So he gets furious and starts chasing the bird. While chasing, he hits a cart driven by a white tiger and his servants. After seeing the tiger, Ben comments on how delicious this tiger would be. When the tiger hears this, he becomes furious and orders his servant to kill Ben. His servant was about to kill Ben, but suddenly, Finn arrived. He apologizes to the white tiger and requests their servants to stop. But he again says, I'll eat it, at any cost. The servant starts attacking him again after hearing that, but Liam arrives in the meanwhile. He claims there is nothing to argue over, excuse him, he is immature. But, before leaving, the white tiger tells Ben that, I'll see you in the Beijuan Mountains. After a short time, Beijuan Mountains portal opens. All the beasts rush to the spot. But Ben was on his way to buy some materials at the moment, so he couldn't get there in time, and the portal was about to close. But Liam uses his powers and throws Finn and Ben into the portal before it closes. There were many monsters fighting among themselves. Meanwhile, a beast tries to attack them. But Ben and Finn battle and defeat it easily. Ben sees a bird and gets hungry, so he starts chasing it with a huge stone, so that he can kill it and eat it. Later, we are shown that they are having their meal. Later, as they travel further, Finn asks Ben if he has ever seen the animal Milk Boy. Once he beat me and made me unconscious. Ben claims that he doesn't know him. Meanwhile, a beast comes there and tells them that the nine-headed lion has called them. But Finn and Ben decline. So the beast starts attacking them. But Ben uses his lion beast technique to counterattack him. But the beast saves itself from him. Later, Ben uses his treasure bone technique to strike him. It was the same attack he had used on Finn. The beast died as a result of this. But Finn finds out that he is the animal milk boy. He gets sad and calls him a liar and leaves from here. Then we see Julie here, and Ben, after seeing her, becomes happy. I hope you enjoyed the video if you watched till here, so please consider subscribing to our channel and comment your thoughts in comment section and stay tuned for more amazing parts in future. Thanks for watching.